Boom, just like that. Here we are once again. And I'm hoping my friend Corinder's out there. He's been away for a while and now he's back on Facebook. And he usually shows up and says, boom, just like that. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. As always, I'm your host, David Burrows today. Happy Monday. And I should have had the music queued up. Some people, not only is it Happy Monday, but some people are probably doing the happy dance right now. You know, the happy dance. What was that movie? Happy Feet? Get that song playing in your head because some people are going to be pretty excited now with the announcements coming out from the Premier of Ontario, from Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, and many of the ministers who were involved in the announcement, including the tourism and culture and all. Just there's been so much, right? What's the list that how many industries have been affected? Oh, the whole darn world, right? And there's Jesse I start over, David, and try to talk. There's Jesse Waterfield saying, "Happy Monday." Good to see you, Jesse, as always. I need that chocolate bar. I'll come. I'm gonna. Are you working tonight, Jesse? I'll come by tonight and I'll get the chocolate bar that I don't tell Jennifer. And my friend Domingos Fernandez out there. Dom, how you doing? How's the book, by the way? I want to know more about the book. And yes, happy Monday. What are we talking about? The happy dance that's been happening today with so many people who have been preparing for this stage of the game, if you will. And Sarnia Lambton will now be a part of Stage 2 reopening, beginning on Friday, June 19th, which is great news. There are so many that were not included, Hamilton area, Niagara, I believe, and so many more. And when that news came out that Stage 2 reopening, everybody got excited and then brought it, and then a whole bunch kind of went, like this. Unfortunately, Windsor is not included in this Stage 2 reopening at this stage of the game. And they're just still a bit of a hot spot, so to speak, for the coronavirus. So, certainly, I can hear them down the street. I could hear them down the street earlier today at 1 o'clock this afternoon when the Premier announced that we will be a part of that. Now, I know a lot of people were upset about that when you come out, well, we're not included, and why not? And I didn't really understand it. I just said to my first guest earlier, but I didn't go to medical school either, so I know what I think I know and what I hear and where I get that information from, right? And as I try to remind you every week, make sure you get the information from the proper places. LambtonPublicHealth.ca, great place to get accurate information on what's happening locally. Blue Water Health as well. Also, of course, our city has done a great job of keeping things updated. A special page of the Sarnia website at sarnia.ca on things that are open, things that are closed, what you can, what you cannot do, what's happening with parks, everything. It's really tough to keep track of all of this stuff, right? So the city's been busy making sure that things are updated for us all the time, and they've done a great job in doing that. And also, if you don't know already, you can visit my website, the show live.live, where not only do you see community shows, including here today, of course, but local news that's happening there as well. We try to keep that updated as much as we can. Got some new people supporting us here on the show. You can see in the background, age-friendly Sarnia Lambton, who we've been supporting for quite some time, and happy to connect and collaborate with age-friendly Sarnia and give them their support, especially in this time. Boy, have they really been significant as well. So congratulations to everybody who's all excited about reopening. It was really yesterday. I went out for a motorcycle ride with several friends and headed down to Bayfield. Beautiful place. I hadn't been there. Well, it's been a really long time. Used to spend summers down in Bayfield, but it's been that long when I was a teenager. Holy moly, did I ever bring back memories there. But it was really interesting going there because we went there and there was a restaurant, right? And it was open. And people were sitting down at a table and they were eating. But you couldn't do that here in Sarnia, which was the other part of what I didn't understand. Anyway, but it was nice to kind of be getting the feeling of things are coming back to. I don't even like to use the word normal anymore. I don't know what that looks like. Normal. Whatever was normal anyway. Jesse, you're not working. Okay, so I gotta wait till Thursday to go get my chocolate bar. Okay, it's a date, chocolate bar date. Corinder, oh hi, yeah, you missed the show. Well, I appreciate being missed, and I appreciate having you back here to watch the show and enjoy our guests that are coming up here as well. Now, all this in mind, with Sarnia Lambton and all the others being allowed to reopen, let's remember we still have to practice social distancing. That's still important, right? Like, we're not out of this yet, as our premier clearly put that. We are not out of this yet. And the last thing we want to see, folks, is wave number 2. We don't want to see that, because then we'll be right back where we started. And I would say that the experts and the educators in all of this have learned quite a bit themselves. Even that, imagine being a medical expert right now, and with all this knowledge that you already do have, and then COVID shows up and challenges your expertise, right? So let's not go back there. And it's easy to fall back, and we get a little more, a little more comfortable in our chairs, and okay, everything's gonna be fine. But yeah, let's just remember to social distance, regardless of what you believe. And here's what I've seen happen. I think most people have been really good about the social distancing. There's a few, of course, that things like this. Everybody's got an opinion, and everybody thinks theirs is the right one, of course, right? So that's the thing about opinions. But let's respect each other. Continue to respect each other when we're out there in the communities, wherever you are watching from. And those that are wearing masks, some people think, well, that's a waste of time. Others, let's just continue to respect each other, because I think a lot of us have, I know I have for sure, sat back and kind of reviewed life a couple months ago. I've been saying, it forced me to be more creative, and it also forced me to do, that list. I don't know if you have a list. I have a list of things I want to achieve, right? I write new things down every day. I've always avoided saying someday, but a lot of people will say, oh, well, someday I'll do that. Someday I'll do that. Guess what? Someday showed up, right? And I think people kind of got pushed into a corner and had to become creative and use that creative mind and kind of just reflect, on just how darn good we have it, right? We always say never take things for granted in our life. We do anyway, even though we don't mean to. But I think a lot of people have been sitting back. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I think a lot of people have. Corinna's asking, how is Canada still locked down? Well, no, not overly, really. We've just been talking about they're loosening things up, and stage 2 is now Lambton County will be included. So we'll see how that goes, right? I don't know who's saying this. If you're watching from the group, the Facebook group, the show with David Burrows, I can see your comments, but it won't tell me who you are. So you got to come over to the show with David Burrows, unless you want to say things you don't want me to see. And then, okay, let's not go there. All right. So great to have so many people joining us here today. And as always, some great guests. But before I get to that, let's talk about Sarnia Sting. Oh my goodness. Have I ever missed talking about the Sarnia Sting? Well, we had the draft, a little while ago back in April. And we were able to cover that. And a lot of changes have been being made at the Sarnia Sting, with new players coming in, and of course some leaving, new coaches coming in, a new general manager, all those announcements. It's exciting times and interesting times, as we keep repeating ourselves to say. But the Sarnia Sting are really great, not just they love hockey, obviously, but they're really great at collaborating with people in our community. And most recently, the Sarnia Sting collaborated with Lambton Elderly Outreach, and these Puck COVID t-shirts. I should have had one here. I have one. I have two, actually. They're only $25 a piece, and supporting LEO, or if you don't know what that is, Lambton Elderly Outreach. And the Sarnia Sting has agreed to put their logo, or allow their logo to be on the Puck COVID t-shirts. And you can get them by going to sarniasting.com, and the proceeds from the t-shirts will support Lambton Elderly Outreach, who, by the way, has not only done very well through all of this in continuing their services in the community, but expanded their services in the community to reach further destinations than they normally would. I know Bill Yurchuk is very, very proud of his team and organization. And in the meantime, I've been having a lot of fun. So, Sarnia Sting, get your t-shirt. And then, are you bored on a Wednesday night? Do you know what's happening on Wednesday? It's What the Truck Bingo. Bingo, of all things, was created. I'm happy to say I'm the producer of the bingo night. I actually sit behind the scenes, and I don't do all this talking like I normally do. So a lot more. But there's others that are involved that do all the chatter, and it's quite funny. This is not your normal bingo. If you're expecting to sit down and have a quiet night and just B4 and 062 and just a little, don't come to this bingo. There's a lot of chatter going on. But let me tell you, it's been over, I think it's been like 12, 13 weeks that the bingo's been going on now. And hundreds of people are watching live and playing bingo from home. It's absolutely free to play bingo from home. You send them an email, bingo@lambtonelderlyoutreach.org. And then at 6:30 on Wednesday nights, we go live on my YouTube channel and we have bingo. But there's lots of sponsors, great prizes. They've given away beer fridges from North End Appliance. Mackenzie Oil has donated hundreds of dollars worth of gas cards. We've got, just pick something, beer prizes from the local breweries here. And it's What the Truck Bingo, and it's supported as well by Ron Clark Ford. Should I start over? Ron Clark Ford out in Wyoming as well. And it's turned out to be viral, right? And supporting a great cause in there as well. So check that out. What the Truck Bingo happens every Wednesday evening, 6:30 p.m. on my YouTube channel. You can look into that. And it's just, I don't know what it is about bingo. Just say it. Just say it. Just say bingo. Doesn't that just sound fun? It's just a fun word, right? Okay. Let's take a look at our comments before we move on to our first guest. Who else we got there? Corinder saying hello to everybody. Oh, Ann, okay. Sarnia Sting are not back yet. Coming in the fall. I'm going to be meeting up with the Sarnia Sting this week to see possibly how some things are going to look for the Sarnia Sting. And my involvement's got to adapt a little bit too, because we don't even know what's going on there yet, right? We only know a little bit about the NHL and everything. Anyway, Sarnia Sting, Puck COVID t-shirts supporting Lambton Elderly Outreach. I hope you take the time to check that out and purchase one for a great cause. All right. Here I am self-producing again, so I never know what's going on. Oh, yeah, I have to remind everybody, too, that they're selling these raffle tickets for this beautiful truck. It is a 4x4, and it's absolutely wonderful. There's a video on my Facebook page and on the Leo Ron Clark bingo page. Tickets are $100 and supporting Leo and the Kidney Foundation and others as well. And I got my ticket, $100. I've never owned a truck, so I'm hoping that this is my opportunity. All right. Okay, well, speaking of community and so many not gathering, but still reaching out to help people who are in much need in communities all across Ontario, but specifically here in Sarnia and Sarnia-Lambton, people have still been putting ideas and implementing things to support people who are maybe struggling more than a lot of us are. And we're going to talk to our friend Todd Keeley right now, who's from the Federal Bridge Corporation. We haven't seen you in a while. Todd, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Always nice to reconnect with you. And does it mean something different now when somebody says to you, "How you doing"?
I was kind of strange how you doing a quick answer with it rather than answering. But yeah, it is a weird thing.
It's a little more sincere nowadays, I think.
Yeah.
So, Todd, you're down in Ottawa, coming from your home office. And, of course, I'm familiar with you. But tell everybody just exactly what the Federal Bridge Corporation is and what they do.
Well, the Federal Bridge Corporation, the Canadian corporation, is responsible for Canada's interest four different bridges between Ontario and the U.S. Sault Ste. Marie, Thousand Island Bridge, Seaway International, Cornwall, and of course the Canadian part of the bridge over Michigan.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of people watching right now might go, "Wow, how's that been?" with borders sort of being closed, and there's quite a whole adaptation like everybody else going on. But I would say the Federal Bridge Corporation probably has a unique adaptation that they've had to deal with.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride. The trucks are still mostly going into the U.S. and back. Paper making its way towards. But our traffic real, it's very quiet. Pretty much every bridges, cars are rare. I think normally here a blue water maybe as many as 1,000 cars in a day on a really maybe 4,000 is typical. Now we're seeing maybe 150.
Wow.
Yeah. Trucks are so bad. Still seeing a fair amount of them. Not as many as we normally expect. With the automotive kind of starting to percolate. We're maybe at 70% of our trucks right now. Not too bad.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the people who are part of the Federal Bridge Corporation and the employees and those that are dealing, front line, right?
Yeah,
I guess, we talk about frontline workers. We often think, and rightfully so, we think of healthcare providers. We think of police officers and correctional officers. But these are sort of ones that maybe kind of get forgotten about.
I think most of the the fact that trade is still flowing in the U.S. due to the people who show up every day and keep everybody safe, moving. It's really commendable. A lot of our we've even brought in summer students doing some painting and landscaping, actually distance themselves to do it. And things are keeping. Yeah, but it's not. You tend to think of workers as essential workers, very critical, and we're really for our own for what they do.
Yeah, I'm sure. What's the public been like to deal with in all of this, as far as I guess being okay with it, as okay as we can be with what's going on? But has everybody been, I guess, cooperative? I guess is pretty much.
Everyone is aware of the realities that are taking place. And it's not like we need to do with line up traffic. People's mood are normal. And early on, I think I remember the date that have been around maybe the 25th of March, like that. We went to the back and forth between staff and people understood the need for that fairly well. Nowadays most transactions are card and go, and they're on their way. Using the connection program and just showing up the gate open, and they're on their way.
Yeah, it's been a great program. We've talked about it several times here, and it's nice to see more people taking advantage of it. Well, as much as they can right now. But, I mean, I think that'll change when things. How close do you think we are? And I don't know. I know you're not the decision maker on this, but how close do you think we are to seeing any of the borders, but specifically, say, Blue Water Bridge opening?
It's a really good question, and I think if you look at general staff, and again, the same kind of described earlier. I'm not a decision maker, professional, but the humbling is non-nonsense and will remain through till the third week of July. If you look at what's going on out there, I think areas have been good. Things in the U.S. have a lot more higher density. It's probably get a little while. Keep things reined.
Yeah. Well, time will only tell. Some people are saying you've got quite an echo going on there. I don't hear it anymore, but do you have headphones there handy with you or no?
I don't have any.
No.
Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. We'll carry on. It's okay. It's technology, right? We were talking earlier. We were saying how like even the kids could show up right now, or you've got a dog that's sleeping. We don't want to wake the dog.
Yeah.
Would he? Is he a big dog?
No, he's a very neat old dog. He's partly deaf, so this time of day he pops up with some attention.
So he can't hear us talking then.
No.
Right? Okay. Well, let's move on and talk a little bit more about the Federal Bridge Corporation and their involvement in the community. I think it was you and I had just met last year after this very similar thing had happened. Talk about what the group's going to be doing in Sarnia.
Well, this is part two, I guess, of our community connection. We're calling it, and it's largely due to an initiative from our athlete and nicely supported by the majority of our staff and PSAC, a union local 501, doing volunteer work across different locales. In Sarnia, we go in support of the Inn of the Good Shepherd and their lodge, and this is a shot from last year where we planted a vegetable garden for them, and they did a lot of landscaping work, and I personally got really intimate with a lot of thistle bushes, and my calves and thighs were really strained from bending over all day long, pulling these weeds out of their front garden. But this is, I think this would be from around late August, early September last year, where we planted some I think cauliflower, broccoli, cabbage, tomatoes, some peppers and beans, things of that nature. And the lodge of the Inn of Good Shepherd really is a place where people sit down and in a very sort of family-oriented type of environment, sit down for their meals. So having fresh veggies is really something they appreciated. So the big news for us is tomorrow and Wednesday we're going back to the lodge to do this again and create another garden, vegetable garden, and do some more landscaping for them. Last year we also did some painting indoors, but because of social distancing, this year we're going to stay outside.
Right. Well, this is it's good to see. You probably heard me earlier ranting, or not so much ranting, but just talking about community involvement. And here in Sarnia Lambton, anybody who lives here, and I'm sure my guests in the lobby will agree that Sarnia Lambton just has an amazing way of coming together and showing support for each other, regardless if it's something that's needed. We're there. So. This is important, obviously, to the Federal Bridge Corporation to show their community involvement.
Yeah, a lot of the employees even look forward to this kind of stuff. It sort of makes a break from your day-to-day routine to show up in the morning, have a quick breakfast as a group, and then we go out and do some good. In Ottawa, we did a lot of work with the Mission, which is a homeless shelter. We did a lot of cleaning and food preparation, and even since then, a lot of work has continued between the two locations. And obviously, most of our staff is in Sarnia, so most of this goes as you say to the Sarnia community. But over 525 hours of volunteering has been done over the course of the year. And we've raised over $18,000 for the two charities, the Inn of the Good Shepherd and the Ottawa Mission. And I think both our employees and the beneficiaries have really appreciated the contributions.
Yeah. Now it's I'm sure is this where all the bridges are? This is something that gets done in all the communities to where the bridges are?
Well, it's just a quirk of the way we operate is that Sault Ste. Marie and Thousand Islands are operated by an American partner. So the same folks who manage the U.S. side of Blue Water Bridge, organizationally, they run the Sault Ste. Marie Bridge, and another organization called the Thousand Island Bridge Authority runs the Thousand Island Bridge. So our staff is really only in Ottawa and at Point Edward. The Cornwall Bridge, the Seaway Bridge, is run by a subsidiary called the Seaway International Bridge Corporation. So little quirks of organization mean that we only really have employees in Ottawa and in the Sarnia area. So that's where we do all our stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see the involvement after all of this happens, and then the community involvement, which is great for the Inn of the Good Shepherd. We've got some other things happening with the Inn of the Good Shepherd. The community's come together to show great support for them. Beyond this now, let's continue back into what kind of things has the Federal Bridge Corporation been doing to prepare, I guess, for the reopening of things?
Well, mostly right now, we're trying to get sort of a routine scheduling and working our own operations so that everyone is able to work. I think even as things progressively start to open, people like me who are slaves to their basement office will probably stick to that for a little while, right. So that we limit our staffing to those essentially people who need to physically be on site to get their jobs done. And we're hoping that what we're going to see is that truck traffic will continue to ramp up as the summer goes along. So there's kind of a natural trend that happens there. And then for cars, it's kind of hard to guess right now, but we'll see how that materializes. I know, from what I read, a lot of the people in Michigan and, in Port Huron are probably eager to see Canadians come back, and so progressively things will pick up again. Again, hard to say when that'll happen, but maybe it'll trickle towards the end of July and into August. Perfect.
Well, again, I know kind of the silent partners in all of this. Again, the unrecognized, maybe frontline workers, and thank you for your community involvement here in Sarnia Lambton as well.
Thanks for thanking me.
Hey, no problem. And also thanks for keeping things positive. I think times like this, certainly we've all been challenged with staying positive.
Yeah.
For sure. So when these kind of things happen, that contributes to keeping that positivity.
Yeah, I think people have shown, especially like in the Point Edward and Sarnia area, as you say, they've shown their good sides, coming together, helping each other out. It's a learning experience for everybody, but I think for the most part, a lot of people have been respectful of each other, and we're all in it together, and we're all going to see each other through.
Very good. Todd, any final things you want to put out there before I let you get back to your day?
Again, just thanking everybody for showing up every day and going to work and making things keep flowing. So that's pretty, and thank you for keeping everybody entertained and distracted and engaged, and it does a lot of good.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Todd, always good to see you, and book another one. We'll have you back here in another month or so to talk more.
No problem. Anytime.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Todd Keeley from the Federal Bridge Corporation. We began our relationship about a year ago, somewhat by accident, actually, and we've been able to stay connected and learned a lot from Todd being here and talking about the Federal Bridge Corporation, just exactly what they do. And obviously, as we mentioned, one of those maybe forgotten frontline workers that are contributing to our community here as well, which is always great to see. And this time contributing to the Inn of the Good Shepherd. Thanks again, Todd. Keep in mind, everybody, as we watch all of these guests here today, I will be posting links and other information after the show as well. And if you want to ask some questions while we're live, be sure to ask those questions over here on our Facebook page, and we will be able to get them answered. We're live. Well, at least we're live right now. If you're watching this like an hour from now, obviously we're not live. So it's the live replay, they call it. Anyway, okay, I'm not here to be Mr. Funny. We're going to move on to our next guest. Or maybe I should be. Should I do a comedy show? I don't know. Todd there just said, thanks for keeping everybody entertained. I don't know. We're going to go on to my next guest here today from Fairwinds Lodge, Jennifer Calvert. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Look at you, all smiles. Every time I run by you or walk by you, you're always smiling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great place to be.
Yeah. I know who you are, obviously, but tell everybody who you are and what you do there at Fairwinds Lodge.
So I am the retirement counselor here at Fairwinds Lodge. So my job is to just make sure that the community is aware of who we are and what we do here. And, I spend a lot of time with our residents that have joined our community here, our family at Fairwinds. So I'm kind of like the PR, I call myself the cat herder.
Okay, very good. You wear a lot of hats, I know that. And
I do.
I feel like I repeat myself so much these days by saying these are challenging times or unprecedented is the key word and all that. But everybody's got a unique situation in adapting here. You just heard me talking with the Federal Bridge Corporation. And now, you're in the healthcare world, really. Give us kind of a snapshot of how that's been.
We started out, it was a challenge. Fairwinds is an independent living retirement. So our residents are very vibrant, active. They're used to coming and going. And when this all began, we really had to start putting some processes in place that would help us protect them from this pandemic that we're living in right now. So initially, difficult to tell people who had the freedom to come and go whenever they wanted that there would not be those freedoms. Initially, they weren't very happy with us, but as they saw what was going on in our community and the danger that was really out there, they came together with us very, very quickly and really appreciate us and understand that what we've done is really to keep them from harm. And to date, we've done a very good job of that. And they thank us every day for it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think, let me ask you this question. This has been on my mind for some time. And actually, my wife, Jennifer, and I have had this discussion. And it seems like every different age group, if you will, has a different perspective of what this thing is, this COVID-19, and different age groups seem to be treating it differently as well. And is that something that you've experienced there because of the age demographic that you deal with there? That there's huge independence in that age group, I would think. I know, like
For
Jennifer,
sure, yeah.
I'll put it out there. I was talking to her mom, and she's like, "Mom, you can't do that." Well, what do you mean? Was there a big education difference between that age group and maybe a younger age group?
You would think so, but this demographic of people are very well read. I mean, they read the Toronto Star, the National Post. They are, they live and die by CNN and, news reports. And, they knew before I did was happening. And, they were glued to their TVs when Doug Ford was making his announcements. So they were really doing a good job of educating themselves.
Yeah. I think that's and I think that's something that comes from that generation. I think of my grandmother, etc., that was always very diligent about the newspaper. And I mean, how the news is delivered now is obviously different, but they're still very well connected, or seem to be, right? And you say they were educating you.
At times, they all have, a lot of them all have their iPads and connectivity. So they were up on social media and, everything that was going on. So very, very smart cookies, these folks were. They weren't going to let us get anything past them. So they're sharp. They know what's going on. But I think that's all part of why they respect so much what we've done to make sure that they were, all kept well through this.
Yeah. I think we are all maybe a little guilty of misjudging and underestimating our seniors. Would that be a fair statement?
That's an absolute fair statement. I've gained so much respect for, always had respect for seniors, but it certainly was an eye-opening experience for me when I joined Fairwinds about a year ago. So it's been a wonderful, enlightening, educational career path change for me.
Fantastic. Well, you talk about activities and everything that you have to do at the Fairwinds Lodge to keep everybody entertained and interested. I mean, you've had to do some adapting there, but this is Seniors Month that's being celebrated right now. What kind of things have you got going on at Fairwinds Lodge for that?
So, we've done a lot to keep our residents busy. We have what we call our garden music series. So our residents, even though isolated to the Fairwinds property, if you will, we have beautiful gardens here. So, they can get out and go for a walk. And we've started bringing live entertainment in the garden. And so as long as they're maintaining their social distancing, they are welcome to go out there, enjoy some live music, or from their balconies or patios that face the staging area, if you will.
Right.
We're maintaining some activities. Up until just recently, we were only allowed to have 5 people at a time in our activity room, but we were doing multiple sessions throughout the day. One of the things we did was this wonderful activity book, and they just embraced it so much. So, giving them something to do while they're thinking about how they can't go out into the world, we're trying to keep them as busy as we can internally. So we're still playing bingo and having some fun along the way.
Bingo.
So
we got to get you playing with the bingo with us.
I know. I actually just registered for my own bingo card last week, so I could try it out.
There you go. We have a lot of fun. We really do. And it's just another example of adapting to the times, right? One of the things adapting is brought on a lot of collaboration in the community as well. Collaborations that we haven't seen before. You've been able to collaborate with Meals on Wheels.
We did. So it was just kind of, we were watching how much the residents were enjoying their activity booklet. And I thought, I was talking to our team here, and I said, surely to heavens, if our residents are enjoying this so much, there has to be seniors out there who are truly isolated with much less support than our residents get. And wow, do you think that they would enjoy this? So I reached out to Meals on Wheels, and they were just thrilled to pieces for me to be able to supply them with some copies of our activity booklet. But to top that, I thought on top of celebrating Seniors Month, I would put our kitchen to work and have them bake some baked goods and have them sent out with the meals as well. So we did that, and they were just, we'll be doing it all month with Meals on Wheels. But then I was at a meeting, and Bill Yurchuk from Lambton Elderly Outreach said, hey, we deliver meals. Can we get in on this? So I'm now collaborating with Leo as well, and they've got copies of our activity booklet. And by the end of June, our Fairwinds Kitchen will have created probably over 300 baked treats that will go out to seniors in Sarnia-Lambton. So we're pretty proud and pretty excited to be able to partner with Leo and Meals on Wheels.
I would imagine you've probably got some residents there that could teach you a thing or two about baked goods.
Oh, yes, they can. Oh, yes, they can. So, and that's, one of the other things sometimes we do, cooking with Joe. Joe is our executive chef. And so he's always thrilled when I bring these, hey, Joe, can you cook me 160 cookies for tomorrow? And you know what he says? He smiles and he says, okay. And that's exactly what he did.
He doesn't see you coming and run out the other way. She's going to put me to work.
Actually, yes, he has started doing that.
Well, these are the kind of things, I guess, that again, I talk about the collaboration and the community efforts, and just people just helping each other out in this time, right? Have you seen
Yeah, for sure.
more relationships? Like obviously, there's already relationships between people becoming friends at Fairwinds Lodge, but have you seen more relationships happen that maybe weren't there before, or maybe existing ones flourish beyond what they were?
It's like you live here. That's exactly what's happened. I know, right? Yeah, so we've seen relationships that, were more of a, hi, a wave in the hallway, where they've become very, I've seen friendships grow quite fluently here. In Fairwinds, we have a large atrium area that really was just one way to get from the elevator to the dining room, and people just passing during meal times. And now, they're actually, we've had to put extra seating in that area because people are now sitting and really chatting with each other and really enjoying each other's company. So, that's one of the things that I think in the long term, we're going to see this whole pandemic is going to change a lot of things. And that's probably one of them in our case.
Yeah. Well, you talk about, you said earlier about how, they've got their iPads out and everything. And I think, and being a part of Age Friendly Sarnia, of course, I've learned a lot of things, but it was really quite surprising to me just how many of our seniors are grabbing a hold of an iPad or one of them iPhones or whatever's. Like I've always said to, like, when I get to that point, like hopefully a while yet, but I'm 50 years old. It's not that far away. There better be Wi-Fi there for me when I go, right?
Yeah. Yeah, true story. That's true. And we actually even set up, our FaceTime corners as well. So for those that didn't have internet or were not very savvy, they could come down to the FaceTime cubicle, and one of our team members would assist them in hooking themselves up with a FaceTime call with their family. And they were just tickled pink about that. That was something really, really special for them. It was fun to watch, actually.
A new experience, right? I mean, I'll tell you, I'm very grateful. My mother's been in a residence, and now my father's in a residence, and both been able to FaceTime them. And it's almost like this was the new telephone to them. We're seeing that discovery and being around for that. And now here's this FaceTime thing that you only saw in Star Trek not that long ago.
Yeah. It's been a game changer for a lot of our residents to be able to do that during this time of isolation. And, it's been really meaningful for them to have that kind of experience. So we were glad to be able to do that with them.
That's great. I got to wrap up here with you in just a moment, but how's the staff been handling all of this? We talk about the frontline workers, and again, really in a unique position. Like, talk about frontline. How's the morale?
Yeah.
And how's everybody doing?
You know what? Our staff are rock stars. The restrictions and the processes and the things that we've had to put into place has really created a lot of extra work, if you will, for the staff. So while our dining room has been closed, we've been serving residents 3 meals a day in their rooms. So there's a lot of prep work that is different than when you serve in a dining room. They've taken a hold of this and just embraced it and made us proud, made us really proud, this team.
Well, fantastic. Jen, thanks to you and the whole team there. And thanks to the residents for keeping it together as well and adapting.
Absolutely.
With the times. All right. Well, thanks again, Jen. And we'll look forward to come on back and see me again soon and talk about some different things that are happening down there at Fairwinds Lodge.
I would love that. Thanks so much for having me on the show. And until next time, thanks very much.
You're welcome. Stay safe. Jen Calvert down at Fairwinds Lodge talking to us today. There's some information on the screen if you want to find out more about Fairwinds Lodge and find out about all their services there and the things they're doing not just there, what they're doing in the community as well. again, another great example of adapting to these unprecedented. Can we find a new word for unprecedented? I need a thesaurus, I think is probably what I need to come up with that. But we've heard that and the crystal ball thing enough, right? Thanks again, Jen Calvert, and thanks to everybody for all your work down at Fairwinds Lodge. All right, well, we're going to continue on with more community efforts happening here today. And our friend Brian Austin Jr., normally talking about theater here today, this is a link to all of that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Well, there it is again. You know, I said earlier, every time somebody asks, how are you doing? It's a brand new question these days. How are you doing?
Yeah, it really does depend on the day. And the nice thing is, I think people are being more and more honest with how they're feeling.
I agree. It's, Brian, thanks for asking. I'm so good today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, things again, another unique situation. Theaters changed all over the world, but specifically, we're talking about Sarnia Lambton, and then tragedy happens amongst all of what's happening as well. And we're here to talk about a special friend to Theater Sarnia and to the End of the Good Shepherd, Anthony Frecalanza.
Yeah, so it hasn't been an easy time for our theater family. Right at the beginning of lockdown, we lost a longtime member, John LaRue. And then we lost Linda Agox. And then in May, we lost Anthony Frecalanza, who was a huge part of the theater community, just had the biggest heart, would drop everything and do any favor you asked him to, and still in shock over the loss. It's a hard one.
Yeah. I know so many, you and I are connected to so many of the same mutual people, and I've had those conversations with several of those people, and even the ones that knew him sort of. And what I mean by that is just passing in the hallway, or just not a ton of conversation, but they still felt his presence. I remember one of the first times I ever interviewed Anthony, and it was so funny because he wanted to get it right, and was the interview okay, and it was all he cared about was nothing about himself. He just wanted to make sure everything else was okay. And that was really a big piece of who Anthony was and how his heart was.
Yeah, that was him. Very selfless, threw himself into a project 110%, and, wouldn't leave until it was done, and done to your standard. He always would check in. Is this okay? Is this good enough? And just like he exuded this light and this vibrance that is going to be really hard to not have in my life. Yeah. But out of tragedy, we're trying to bring some hope, and that's what we've named this first annual food drive in support of the End of the Good Shepherd. Theater Sarnia is doing Anthony's Hope, which stands for helping other people eat, because he worked for the End of the Good Shepherd. So we thought this would be a really good marriage of the two organizations that he gave so much of his life to.
Yeah. Great idea. And I know it's going to go a long way with many people. And you talk about an impact, in theater, you often talk about, okay, you need to have an impact on that audience, and impact is a very powerful word. And Anthony knew what that word impact meant.
Oh yeah, 100%. He, for a long time, almost a decade, I think 8 years, he ran our youth program, our senior youth program. And that's what it all was about, was giving an impact to those kids. And, some of them were painfully shy, and he would draw out their personalities. And then by the end of the year, they were on stage, delivering lines to 400 people. So it's incredible what a strong leader he was, and how influential he was to a lot of kids' lives.
Yeah. And not just kids, a lot of adults as well. I mean, when this first happened, I know there was like somewhat of, I guess, a candlelight drive-by, or I'm not sure what you'd call it, but people got together very quickly and drove by the Imperial Theater to show their love and respect to Anthony.
Yeah.
So it's understandable why he's going to be missed by so many. But again, taking tragedy and turning it into a positive. What do you think? What do you think it was with Anthony that just mattered the most to him as far as people?
I really think making other people happy. I think he got so much out of bringing joy to people, and hopefully through this initiative we can continue that.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about what's happening, and it's called Anthony's Hope, and it's going to be happening what would have been his birthday.
Yeah, so this Wednesday, June 17th, would have been his 32nd birthday. I can't give enough kudos to the committee who brought this together. So Ryan Metzler, Kate Hardy, Gord Bristow, Kristen Lannon, Helen Petronsky, and the Imperial Theatre staff worked. We didn't have a lot of time to put it together, so they worked very hard to pull this together in time for his birthday. So this Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Imperial Theatre, we're doing a drive-by food drop-off for the Inn of the Good Shepherd. The inn was kind enough to donate a van for us to fill up, and I hope we have to make several trips because we fill it up multiple times. But we're trying to keep the volunteer members as low as possible so that we stay within social distancing regulations. And we thought that the drive-by would be a good way for people to limit contact. So we had a huge outpouring from our community. Tons of people wanted to volunteer. But the best way to participate this year is just to bring a donation and support the inn.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and so many people coming together to this community, right? You heard me say earlier, Sarnia Lambton is just so amazing for coming together in time of need and support of so many, when it's something positive, right? And again, the positive coming out of a tragedy. I would say do you have high expectations? I think.
Well, I think so. Lots of positive feedback from the little bit of advertising that we've done, social media posts and things like that. Lots of positive comments. So for the first year, it's smaller than we want it to be. We're looking at growing it in the years to come. But for a first attempt, I think we'll do the community proud.
Yeah, for sure. And, I'm seeing a list here, a lot of different things that are really needed. I think, when you think of the Inn of the Good Shepherd, the first thing we think of is food, right?
Right.
Which is always, Miles Vanny has me trained very well. They need 40,000 pounds of food every month. That's the size of a 20 by 40 swimming pool.
Wow.
And that's gone up from now, right? With everything going on.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's more crucial than ever right now.
And it's not just the food, though. I guess it's see like laundry soap, hygiene products are so expensive, and a lot of times people are making that decision between milk or hygiene. What to be in, right?
Yeah. Dish soap, like cleaning products, are very important right now because people are trying to disinfect and be as hygienic as possible. They always need juice boxes and granola bars and things like that for children. But really, if you've got extra, please take a trip down to the theater on Wednesday between 10 and 4 and support Anthony's Hope.
Right. So people need to put them in bags, and then there'll be people out front. How's this? What's the system going to be like there?
Yeah. So if they bring them in a bag and then drive past the theater and head down the alley to the south of the theater, we'll have a drop-off station there so that we don't back up traffic on Christina Street, and they can just take the alley and come out on Lockheil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And you mentioned for the first one, so I'm guessing this is planned to be an annual memorial.
Yes. Yeah. So for as long as I can see, we'll do this every year in June for Anthony.
All right.
Yeah.
Brian, thanks for joining me here today. Any final words you want to say before I let you go?
Just I hope everybody's staying safe and be good to each other.
All right. Brian, thank you so much. And thanks for being a part of putting on Anthony's Hope.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Brian Austin Jr. from the Imperial Theatre Sarnia and Theatre Sarnia working together with the Inn of the Good Shepherd to remember a friend and to support what that friend would have wanted to continue supporting members of the community who need our support here, and specifically the Inn of the Good Shepherd. So the food drive happening on Wednesday, again, from 10 till 4. Get your foods together and support. That is just one of those stories where I just go, wow. All the stories here today have a positive impact. That impact, if my kids were watching right now or listening, or they hear me talk about impact in relationships all the time. And I truly believe they're so important in our community, and not just in our community, but everywhere. But Sarnia Lambton, you are awesome. You really are. And let's continue to be awesome and be respectful of each other, and continue to just do what we do to have made this community of Sarnia Lambton so great. I never run out of, I'm here every week. I never run out of material because of all of you who are so amazing. Okay, I'm repeating myself now, but I just really do think we live in an amazing community, and you are amazing just for being here today. And if you're not watching live, if you're watching the replay, know that you matter. And there are so many people out there willing to listen and support. Just reach out. Okay. Well, speaking of continuing on in community and some adapting, right? Holy Canada Day, Batman. What are we going to do, right? The Sarnia Canada Day kickoff on this Wednesday is the A-Team. Now, if you don't know what the Sarnia Canada Day kickoff is, every Wednesday, and we started last week on Wednesday, with Rachel Veilleux and Becky Wellington and Utam and Usha Bansal were here and taught us how to make rice pudding. We're doing something every Wednesday here on the show and with the city of Sarnia in collaboration with them to lead up to the Canada Day festivities that will happen. Remember, folks, Canada Day has not been canceled, just the typical festivities. So people are adapting again, right? And the Canada Day committee is working very hard to make sure that we all have a great Canada Day. So this Wednesday, 11:30 a.m., I will be joined by many of our dignitaries. Marilyn Gladue, Director of Parks and Recreation, Rob Hardwood, Mark Perrin from Tourism Sarnia Lambton, and our mayor, who's very busy right now, will have a message for us along with MPP Bob Bailey as well. You can ask your questions about the Canada Day. And we'll have some other guests here talking about what things you can do for this Canada Day to keep it positive. How many years old are we? Who knows how old we are? Don't Google it. I can hear you doing it right now. Put it in the comments below. Let us know how old we are going to be and celebrating Canada Day. So that will be every Wednesday leading up to Canada Day. And then on Canada Day, some announcements have been made as to what will be happening. You can head on over to the City of Sarnia Facebook page to see those announcements, or on their website, sarnia.ca as well. So I will be live also on Canada Day with the City of Sarnia. A special fireworks presentation is going to happen. And if that's not enough, you got to have a parade, right? So I've been putting together a virtual Canada Day parade, and I'm proud to say that Tourism Sarnia Lambton, along with Dan Tidwell from DT Freight Express, have come on board as our title and lead sponsors of the virtual Canada Day. And this will support Lambton Supportive Transitional Housing, or Ohana Landing. Ohana Landing, of course, a youth transitional housing facility that was brought forth by friends who owners of Preferred Towing, Tammy Vanden Heuvel and her husband, Gary. But we know Tammy's taking the lead on this for sure. And Gary and Colin and the rest of her family are just huge supporters and have accomplished so much for the youth in our community that is so needed. You think we don't have a homeless problem here in Sarnia? Let me tell you, we do. And the youth in our community have really struggled with it. Why don't you see it? Because they're couch surfing and other jumping around, okay, to different locations. It is so needed here. And they've worked very hard to make it come to life. But like everything else, we've got to continue to support financially. So if you want to be a part of the virtual Canada Day Parade, this is for businesses and organizations, send me an email to info@tvsn.ca. There will be some links posted shortly on how you can be a part of it. And there will be a fee for being a part of the virtual Canada Day Parade, and proceeds from that portions will go to the Youth Transitional Housing Facility, Ohana Landing. We'll have more out on that later tomorrow afternoon, all the specifics. But I thought, why don't we have a virtual Canada Day Parade, and let's help a new organization who's doing some great things to support the youth in our community at the same time, right? So I hope you'll think and consider. I hope you will consider being a part of the virtual Canada Day Parade. Now, keep in mind, as individuals, if you want to have a shout out on Canada Day, you can reach out to the city. This is all on their Facebook page as well, and send in a 3 to 7 second. We're almost there. 3 to 7 second video, and you may be chosen to be one of the shout outs that gets to go out on the virtual Canada Day. There will also be virtual fireworks. That's right. The word virtual should be a big part of your vocabulary now. But there's so much happening, and I want to say thank you to Tourism Starting to Lambton for their support, along with Dan Tidball and other advertisers and supporters who are going to be a part of this as well. And please, I'm reaching out to you and asking you to support this virtual Canada Day Parade to support the youth transitional housing facility known as Ohana Landing. Stay tuned. We'll have more on that coming up. And one more time, Canada will be 153 Federal Bridge. Todd Keeley. Did you Google it? It doesn't matter. Glad to have it out there, and glad to have all of you joining me here today. Thank you once again to all my guests, Todd Keeley from the Federal Bridge Corporation, and the lovely Jen Calvert joining us from Fairwinds Lodge and keeping a positive thing going on down there with all the residents. It sounds like they're having a good time baking and doing activities, etc. And then, of course, Brian Austin Jr. from Imperial Theater talking about their friend Anthony Frecalanza and having Anthony's Hope. All this information still on the Facebook page after this. Thanks to all of you once again for being here and joining me here on the show this week. That's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. I will see you next time right here on the show. Bye for now.